The Athletic and numerous other news outlets have given the Ducks a chance to make the playoffs.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
And yes, there is a chance they make the playoffs. However, a lot of things have to go right, and they already haven't so far, with injuries stacking up. But for some fun, here are my 3 big things that have to go right for the Ducks to make the playoffs, on top of a lot of other things too. And then after, I'll give my realistic expectations and bold predictions for this upcoming season. Number 1 of things that have to go right for the Ducks to make the playoffs, and this is no doubt the biggest one, John Gibson has to have an elite Vezina caliber season. To me, Gibby might be the biggest question mark this season. And honestly, if Gibson was to have a Vezina-worthy season, the Ducks would, and probably should, trade Gibson. But let's say they don't. We know what he has done in the past, pre-Egan's. When Gibson is on, he looks like the best goalie in the league. Now, those nights are few and far between, especially more recently, but now, hopefully with an improved defense, and it can't be worse, right? And him not facing 50-plus shots a game, he should be set up for success and should have a big year, as long as he puts forth some effort. If Gibson doesn't look good this year, I think I will officially be off the Gibby train. At some point, I know he faces so many grade A scoring chances, but you can only blame the team in front of him so much. However, I still believe in him, just based on the fact he put up an almost 900 save percentage, which was league average last year, on one of the worst defenses in history. So, fingers crossed, because Dostal is coming. On to number 2. The young players all take a step forward, break through, and the offense explodes. I'm talking Z, Jimmy, and McT. I don't really see Terry in this group anymore. He's pretty much established himself. Obviously, there are a few more young guns in the mix, but they have not played many or any NHL games yet. You know, I feel like this is something Ducks fans have been saying for years. It's always a what if the young guys produce. Like when 5 years ago, we had Steele, Ritchie, Terry, Jones, Comtois in the lineup. Terry is the only one to exceed expectations. But this group of young talent feels different than that group. And what do I mean, take a step forward? I'm talking at least 80 points for Z. Jamie hits 40 plus. And McT hits 70. Lastly, number 3, no major injuries. Something the Ducks have been kind of cursed with in recent years. This might be at the same level of Gibson having a Vezina caliber season in terms of importance. If the preseason and early injuries have taught us anything, is that we are very thin on roster depth, especially since we already had a major injury with Lundy in the offseason. Now let's say all 3 of those happen and the Ducks make the playoffs. The Ducks do have plenty of cap space to bolster the roster and could make an interesting story. This would also mean Greg Cronin gets Coach of the Year. Alright, enough living in fantasy. It was definitely fun thinking of the playoffs, but the Ducks are not there yet, and the chance of all 3 of those happening are slim to none. So what are my realistic expectations for the Ducks this season? I honestly didn't realize how bad our roster depth is. This really made me think how bad this season could go, but if we stay relatively healthy, we will see improvement, and the Ducks will be more enjoyable to watch this year, at least for our own sanity. Cronin has already shown he won't take any nonsense from players. He has been and will continue to push them. Based on the early schedule, this is a team that is going to start out the gates slow, but will improve as their chemistry and systems understanding come to fruition. So I see the Ducks not making the playoffs, getting 73 points. That's a 15-point improvement from last year, which would put them around 27th in the league, 7th in the division. I'm sure this prediction won't come back to bite me. Time for some bold predictions. I'm just gonna rapid fire these. Terry hits 40 goals for the first time in his career. Number 2 in my big 3 things becomes true, which means Z hits 80 points with 30 goals. McT hits 70 points, only if he doesn't play on a line with Vetrano and Strome. Jimmy hits 40 points and recovers nicely from his shoulder surgery. Leo has 60 points, and him and Minty are both in the Calder race. Sylph has a resurgent year and hits 15 plus goals. Dosty steals the net from Gibby early in the season. I don't know if some of those were bold predictions, but let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and what are your predictions and hot takes for the upcoming season. Thank you for watching, and go Ducks!